Welcome to Jimbo's Barbecue Hacienda, simple, crowd-pleasing recipes for the grill. I am Jim Haas. Thank you for hanging out once again. Today we're going to do alligator tacos with a homemade mango salsa. That's right, you heard correct, alligator tacos. Let's get into it. All right, what are we going to need for this madness? First, let's get the lovely assistant out of the camera shot. Doesn't feel right eating gator tacos with being stared at. So on the mango salsa side of things, what you're going to need for that are mangoes, a red onion, which we're going to chop up, a jalapeno pepper, well, probably more than one if you're cooking for more than a couple of people like I'm doing here. But we're going to chop up the jalapeno as well, a lime, some fresh cilantro, which we're also going to chop up, and I'll show you how all that goes together here in a minute. On the gator side of things, alligator fillets. Now, living in South Louisiana, pretty easy to come by. They always come, I've only seen them in a package about that big. They're frozen, so you do need to let them thaw out. This is actually the night before I'm going to grill this up because there is some prep to do. So welcome to the night before. But if you've got a specialty meat shop near you, or a Cajun theme meat shop or restaurant or something, they may have a supplier that can get you some alligator fillets. Again, I'm only doing this for a couple of people right now, so one fillet is going to be plenty. Tortillas, we're doing street tacos. Little tortillas are going to be just fine. Corn or flour will work. I prefer corn. However, I am using flour on this video because I feel like sometimes corn can dry out and break apart and be a little more difficult to work with, and I like doing things in one take. A remoulade sauce. Now this is, again, pretty common in the South. If you can find yourself a remoulade sauce, good for you. It really is going to add, it's really going to make everything pop. Lemon, buttermilk. Lemon and buttermilk are going to be for prepping the gator and tenderizing the gator. Again, I'll get into that in a minute. Shredded pepper jack cheese, a ball of queso fresco, which we're going to crumble up. It's going to be a nice topping on top of everything when all is said and done. Chopped up cabbage. In this case, I'm just using a bag of this 3-color coleslaw. Just going to chop it up. This will work just fine. So that's everything we need. We are now going to get into this, and let's go. All right, gator prep. So cut your fillet open, cut the bag open, slide it into, I usually just dump it into a foil pan, just makes it easy to work with. And then take your pieces. The fillet itself might start falling apart already, and that's fine. Once it tenderizes, it's definitely going to fall apart. Take your pieces, put them in the Ziploc bag, and then a mix of half buttermilk and half water would be just fine. It's going to tenderize it really nice. This is going to sit in the fridge overnight. Most restaurants that do this, that do like offer gator bites as an appetizer, most restaurants are going to blacken it or deep fry it. I'll take a half a lemon, squeeze it in there, let it just sit in there as well. And blackening it or deep frying it is it's a quick and easy way to do it, and that's fine. Gator meat can tend to be tough sometimes, so we're just going to lightly season it. I'm actually using a Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. You can use any seasoning you want. When we actually grill this up tomorrow, it's just going to have a light seasoning. So that's why we want to tenderize it. We don't want it to be too tough, and just kind of work it in there. Put this aside. We'll put that in the fridge, and come back to it tomorrow when we start up the grill. Mango salsa time. So I've got my chopped onion, my chopped cilantro, my chopped jalapeno, and I'm now going to dice up the mango. Dicing up a mango can be a little tricky. I finally had to refer to the internet to see how in the heck these things dice up. So really, all you got to do, and this made it real easy for me, I cut off a bottom piece of it so the mango kind of sits nice and firm. There's two sides to the flatter sides of the mango are known as the cheeks. You want to cut those off just off of center because there is a pit in the middle of this. And if you slice down with your knife and you hit something hard, just move over a little bit. That means you've hit the pit. But you want to slice those cheeks off, and then without cutting through, you kind of want to make a grid design without cutting through the skin of the mango. Grid design, crisscross, just like that and just like that. And then you've got nice diced mango. Just that easy. And you can cut off these pieces with a knife. Into the bowl they go. Then you've got the two sides left over of the mango. You've cut the cheeks off, and then you've got the other sides. I don't know if there's a word for those other sides, but kind of the same process. Cut down around the pit. Well, this one is not leaving me a lot of extra space. And get the knife between the skin and the mango meat. Slice off that nice little bit and then dice that up. Now once we start adding the cilantro and the jalapeno and the onion, you want to do it in very small bits. I like the taste of mango. I like the sweetness of it. So you want to do, there's really no formula for, one part this, two parts that. It also depends on how much mango salsa you're making. But you want to basically start with your diced mango, add little bits at a time of all the other ingredients, and then when it's to your liking, there you go. I'm going to be putting in, I'll tell you right now, very little red onion and very little cilantro. I might do a little more jalapeno just for that little extra zing, but all of these things we're adding to the mango have very strong flavors, so be very careful. You can always add more, little bits at a time, test as you go along, and you'll be good to go. All right, a little bit of red onion, a little bit of cilantro. Mix that in. I did this salsa at I did the gator tacos at it was a taco competition last year. I didn't win, but that's okay. But it was a taco competition, so there were a lot of people who were kind of obsessed with they did their own salsa, so it just became a how hot can we get it competition. And so my mango salsa actually did pretty well in the salsa portion of the competition. Jalapeno, give it a little zing. And I think it was just because it was a nice, refreshing break from the hot salsa that was out there. But, of course, there was a lot of carne asada and a lot of chicken tacos and a lot of beef. And alligator, I think, was just a little too much for the people to handle that fine day. So I did not win that one, but that's okay. All right, so let's just see how we are here. I'd say that's good. I'm going to cover this up and put all this in the fridge, and we're going to come back to this again tomorrow. Now the lime, we're going to cut this in half and squeeze it over the salsa tomorrow. But in the meantime, good to go. I'm going to get all this in the fridge. And all we got left to do really for this pre-prepping is crumble the queso fresco cheese. You can even do that tomorrow, but I just like to get the salsa out of the way because that kind of takes probably the longest of this whole process. And everything else we can do tomorrow. I'm going to crumble this cheese though while we're at it. Why not? The queso fresco cheese, it's just made to crumble apart. Break parts off of it and just start crumbling it up. The finer, the better. Just going to chop up some of this coleslaw or cabbage if that's what you're using. Not a really fine chop. You just want to break up the bigger pieces in there. And then that's good to go. Queso fresco cheese, coleslaw, the shredded cheese, everything that needs to be refrigerated goes back in the fridge. That's it for prepping, and we'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back. We are ready to season this gator and get it on the grill. Now, I did a slight oversight in the first segment when I was talking about ingredients. I didn't mention seasoning. This is one of those things, really. I prefer Tony Chachere's. It's a Creole seasoning. I prefer a Creole or a Cajun seasoning on these things. Really, any seasoning will do. This is where you can kind of open it up to interpretation, if you will. Simple as salt and pepper. Or if you've got a favorite rub or seasoning, that'll work just fine. We've got so many flavors coming together here. It's going to be awesome no matter what. So I have drained the Ziploc bag. I put my gator in a foil pan. I love these foil pans. I use them for just about every cook I do. And you could leave the fillets in the bag and season them that way. I find, they could just get better coverage if you lay them out like this. So what we want to do is lightly season both sides and let one side sit a little bit and then flip them over, let that seasoning soak in, flip it over, do the other side. Time permitting, you could put this back in the fridge for a couple more hours and really let that seasoning soak in. If you do that, I recommend pulling it out of the fridge probably 15-20 minutes before putting it on the grill. You want to bring that meat up to room temp. Any meat tends to cook up a little better that way. Preheat the grill. We are cooking on high. Again, I don't talk about temperatures on a grill. Every grill is different. Cooking on high. If you want to know my whole theory about analog temp gauges, I've got a whole video on that. So my grill is preheating, and I'm going to let this seasoning do its thing, and we'll see you outside. All right, getting the gator on the grill. Of course, I hear a riding mower off in the distance. You can never plan these things just right, so hopefully they don't get too close. You want to treat alligator like poultry. I'm going to get them on here. We're looking for that 165 Fahrenheit temperature, and then once we hit that mark on the bigger pieces, we want to pull them off pretty quickly. Gator does tend to dry out and get a little tough if it's overdone. So we'll come back to this and flip them shortly, and keep your eye on that temp. So we're on about 4 rotations in, and we are temping out 165 all around. Smaller pieces are a little bit hotter. Time to pull them off. Let these rest for 5 or 10 minutes while we get our tortillas going. I find that everything works out better when you let it rest. That's just a few seconds on each side. Just want to warm them up, soften them up, and we'll be ready to assemble. About all there is to that. One more thing to do before assembly. Take your lime, squeeze it into your mango salsa. Now, we are ready to do this. If you've got these little taco holder things, that's going to make life real nice. So here we go. Let's just do 3 at a time and get into this. Flour tortillas, nice and warm. I've cut my gator into kind of long strips of bite size. So if you're just looking to do some grilled gator bites in a dipping sauce, pretty fantastic right there. So a couple of pieces of gator down in your tortilla, pinch of the pepper jack. Don't be afraid to get a little messy. Your chopped up coleslaw or cabbage. Mango salsa. Good spoonful ought to do it. Probably even a little less than that, but I like mango. The remoulade sauce. Spoonful, dollop on the top, bada bing, bada boom, like that. And top it off with your queso fresco crumbles. Now this, still, you know, relatively simple. A little bit more involved than a lot of what I do, but yeah, I got some extra lime. Let's just put some more lime on the top. Why not? There you go. Thank you once again for joining. Hey, the moment of truth. Let's dig into this. Let's see what happens. Let's see if I still remember how to do this. I got to grab a napkin. So many flavors are popping right now. It's unbelievable. This is fantastic. I got to say, I wish you can all be here to taste this with me. Thanks once again for hanging out. Jimbo's Barbecue Hacienda. I'm Jim Haas. Life is short. Eat well and enjoy yourselves. And listen to good music. See you next time. Cheers.